Senate Commerce is now in session. Senator Shanley, would you like to lead us in the pledge? Thank you.
Thank you very much. I pledge allegiance to
The flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Senator Shanley, you're going to earn your keep. We're going to start today with HB 261. I believe Senator Shanley has an amendment she'd like to present.
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I'd like to propose that we consider Amendment 2443S. And that is an amendment to HB 261, and I can speak to that a little bit. On HB 261, as you will recall, was an attempt to make accommodations for victims of domestic violence and folks who are experiencing disability due to illness or accident. And it's somewhat problematic because some of the conflicts with current law, federal law, and some of the ways in which this would be implemented. HB 261 the amendment really brings the domestic violence piece into line with current VAWA regulations and is a good protection for victims of domestic violence who need to terminate their leases after reporting violence against them. It does not consider the disability piece for a few reasons. One of which is that there are federal laws in place on that issue through the ADA. But more importantly, I think that this bill did invite people to consider this issue more. And there is currently, I believe there is a bill in the House that will address disability in housing. And I think that's something very important that we need to look at. So while this amendment doesn't cover that piece is not being ignored.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Innes, do you have any questions? No, sir. Anyone else like to speak? Do I hear a motion on the bill?
I move the amendment ought to pass, or I move the bill ought to pass.
Second. And you want to move them?
And I'll move the amendment 2023-2443S.
So we'll vote first on the amendment.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? You were an aye? Okay, great.
And now I move ought to pass as amended on HB 261.
Second by Senator Susie. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All in favor? Yeah. Okay, next we're going to SB 22 regarding establishing a study commission to study auto insurance for newly acquired vehicles. I will note that the insurance department stated that they did not believe a study commission would be necessary, which I am tending to be in agreement on, not just because I don't want to be on another study commission. Does anyone else wish to address this? Do I have a motion?
I'll move ITL.
Okay. All in favor of the ITL motion?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, all in favor, 4-0. Senator Susie, want to take that?
Sure.
Great. Okay, we're moving to SB 33, an act relative to the fee differential for non-member lot rent in a manufactured housing. Do I have a motion or any discussion first, rather?
Well, I just would speak to it to
Sure.
say that the amount that is in current law, the $25, was as a result of a bill that I co-sponsored with Senator Bradley, Senate Bill 210. I'm not wedded to that specific dollar amount, but I certainly believe that the percentage proposed is far too great, and for those reasons, I would oppose the legislation.
Anyone else? Does anyone wish to make a motion? To ITL?
Sure. I'll move
Okay.
ITL.
I'll second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Dan, do you want to take it out or I can? Either way. Sure. Sure, send her in as well. Okay, we're moving on to SB 97, an act relative to the use of animals in product testing. We have an amendment from Senator. I had two questions. One is, we had an amendment back in January 30th. Is that died? Is that just floating around? What's happening with that?
Yes, that's not the current one. The current
Okay.
one is 24-000.
Great. And does anyone wish to have any discussion on the new amendment? I believe it's only for biomedical testing. And any other discussion on it?
I believe that multiple parties worked on the language and
Yep.
there seems to be agreement.
Okay, very
So
good.
I would move ought to pass on the bill.
I'll second.
Great. All in favor?
We need to make
Oh,
the
it's an
amendment.
amendment. I'm sorry. Move the amendment.
Yeah, I'll move ought to pass on the amendment as well, 2024-0001S.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, now we'll move the bill as amended.
Yep.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? No? Okay. I'll take that up. Okay, we're halfway. Let's see, 101. Relative to the violations for manufactured housing park sales, my thoughts on it, which were the same as last year, was the 10%. This is a substantial fee, certainly a $10 million park, it's $1 million. And I had a problem if one owner could slow down the whole ball of wax, and especially if in a changing real estate market, what's worth something one day could be very different 6 months later. So I thought it would be an odious burden to go up to 25% or 25,000. Those were my thoughts. Does anyone else wish to discuss the bill? Seeing no, do I have a motion? ITL? Thank you, Senator. I'll second it. Anyone else? Nope. Okay. All in favor of the
Aye.
ITL motion? Aye. Okay. It was 4-0. Dan will take it up. You're welcome. Okay, let's move to a frothier topic. Oh, boy. I'll be appearing at night, Friday night at SB 137, relative to Nano Brewer licensed beverage manufacturers. Want to approach? You can just explain who you are and your thoughts. We've been told that all the parties up and down agree on the bill now. And just, if you could just give us a quick explanation of what that means.
Yes, thank you for having me. Turn the mic to chair.
Is your mic on?
Red light.
And just say your name, who you represent.
Yes, I am CJ Haynes. I'm the executive director of the New Hampshire Brewers Association. Thank you for taking the time. The bill came in last year, and we were told to talk to all parties involved. And we've worked with the Liquor Commission, we've worked with the wholesalers and all of the breweries on this. And what it will do is it'll reduce some of the fees currently in place for nano breweries. Some nano breweries are in the position where they have to be a beverage manufacturer. The difference in that is that they pay $1,200 right now. This bill would tier the beverage manufacturer to include the smaller breweries in it so that they would only pay $240 to $480. So we're adding 2 additional tiers. to the beverage manufacturer, and then it unifies all the licenses so that they would all follow the same rules and regulations rather than having division and confusion happening constantly between which license they should apply for. It'll also allow that brewery to then grow, and as it continues to grow, is just increase the fees. So the fees would be equitable across all licensees, and it would just allow for less confusion in the industry.
Thank you very much. Anyone have any questions?
If I may, Mr. Chair.
Go ahead, yes.
I just have, well, two actually, one for the committee, but one for you if I could.
Sure.
At the hearing, there was opposition from the grocers and the beer distributors. What you're proposing and what is in the chart, is that
Yes,
the
we've met
existing
with the
bill without
wholesalers.
amendment, but you're saying that since that time, conversations have gotten people on board with
Yes.
that? Is that accurate?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
And then if I may,
Yep.
Mr. Chairman, I think we might want to consider, since we're not, if we are to pass the bill and not amend it, we might want to do a committee amendment to change the effective date, which is July 1st of 2023
Okay.
to 2024.
Yep. That would be a good
Just
idea.
a suggestion.
Sounds like a good plan. Okay, thanks very much.
Thank you.
Aaron, so we can do that at the moment.
We just need.
Okay, first, okay. So moved. And not to pass on the new amendment, or on the bill first,
On the bill.
on the bill, okay. Motion brought to pass. Dan's, I'll second. All in favor?
Well, we have to do the amendment.
So I would move the amendment that
Thank
we
you.
just change the effective date to July 1st, 2024.
Thank you.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Now we'll move the bill as amended. Correct?
Yes.
And you're saying, okay.
Yep.
Good, first and second. Good. 4. All in favor?
Aye.
Don, you want to take it out? Senator Susie, I'm sorry.
Sure.
Okay. Okay, this will be more fun.
I guarantee it.
We're now going to Senate Bill 194, an act allowing students under the age of 21 to taste wine in educational settings. And Senator Innes, I believe you have, is a new amendment?
Yes, there is an amendment.
Thank you. Can you?
I think everyone has a copy, 2352.
Thank you.
And as you may recall, when we first heard this bill, there was some opposition from the Liquor Commission and some other folks. As a reminder, this thing is designed to allow 18, 19, and 20-year-olds to do a taste and spit in wine and beer education classes, primarily wine. And in a supervised setting, purely educational, and very carefully controlled. This is a course that's offered at UNH and other institutions on a regular basis, and historically it's been limited to those who are 21, which pretty much constrains it to just seniors. However, in certain programs, tourism, hospitality, and others, there is a desire for people who might be working in the industry to have a good understanding of wine, where it comes from, how it tastes, to make recommendations to diners and so on, whether it's in a hotel, a restaurant, or some other setting. The Liquor Commission was initially a little uncomfortable with it, but in working with them over the summer, we've come up with an amendment that, as you can see on line 16, requires, line 16 of the amendment, requires that students complete an alcohol educational program provided by the Liquor Commission itself. Very similar to what is done for new licensees, which is a program I've been through. And I think that's a great opportunity to further educate students about alcohol, its dangers, its benefits, and so on, how to handle it properly, and ensure that you know, they respect alcohol in the academic setting and beyond. So I think it's actually a great opportunity to responsibly introduce 18 and 19 and 20-year-olds to wine and the consumption of wine and an understanding of wine. There are some other items in the amendment that I think are important, including penalties for intoxication and abuse, in the classroom. So I think this amendment really goes a long way in making this bill palatable, pun intended, and really advances wine education in our state, helps the institutions, helps the students, and has protections in place to protect everybody. I'll stop there.
Can I ask you a couple questions?
Of course.
Thanks, Senator. So the education part, you're only, how many students are taking this course, like at UNH and these others?
About 200 a year.
200.
At
And
UNH.
Okay, and is it predominantly, I realize right now, to the upperclassmen, is this a course that, sounds like something that would be fun.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking the seniors would get first preference to
They,
take a
they,
course like
they
this.
do, because registration starts seniors, juniors, sophomores,
So
freshmen.
now you're moving down in age, so we'll just say half the spots are already going to get taken by 20.
Chances of a freshman getting into the course are very low, simply
now-
because of capacity.
So we've cut our group down to maybe 100 kids who are going to be 18 to 20.
Yeah, that's
Probably.
probably
Ballpark.
fairly accurate.
So as far as like drug education for the children of under 21, you're talking about,
Well, they're adults, not children.
sure, well, with limitations, they can't drink till 21.
That's correct.
So this age group, you're only going to educate possibly 100 out of
Yeah.
100,000. So it's going to be very limited on,
Well, 100 out of 15,000.
however many people are between 18 and 19.
Oh, I see. Yeah,
So it's not really going to have huge effects on the state.
No.
On education.
but it
for
has an
alcohol.
effect on those students that will enroll in the course, and I think it's beneficial.
Okay, so we'll say this 1/100th of 1% of this.
Yeah, I don't know where you're going here.
I'm saying this, it's going to affect very few people, but to
Which is
me,
good reason to pass it.
okay, but to me, and you can just answer my question is, we as a state and the federal government has said 21 is the age.
Yes.
So now as the government, we're sort of going to be winking and saying, it's okay to understand what it tastes like. And
Yeah.
so you're really sort of acting in place of the government here, or is you're acting in a, I want to send a message out that we don't approve of drinking under 21. And you're sort of winking and nodding to me and saying, it's sort of okay. I want to know what it tastes like. So now, in light of the fact that our highways, our police are pulling over more accidents with people who have had under 21 with drinking and other drugs, we're sending a different message here. Not that it's bad, that it's sort of okay. So that's where my problem is.
I think the message that we're sending here is that it's important to have knowledge and understanding about the product that you are recommending to other people. And you're well positioned when you're 21 to understand the risks of overindulgence in alcohol. To me, this is really, it's an educational issue with two different facets at this point. One is understanding the wines and where they come from and how they're developed and how they taste. The other is education about responsible use, how to identify people who have overconsumed, and a number of other issues that are covered by the Liquor Commission in their educational process. Now, as far as the drinking age being 21, I don't really think we're promoting alcohol consumption among 18, 19, and 20-year-olds. We will not be advertising the course. We will not be saying, hey, sign up for this, you can drink. That's not what's happening here. It is a sip and spit. There is no swallowing, and that will be supervised by the instructor, as is noted in the bill and the amendment. So I personally don't see any real risk here. I don't see the university or the program as promoting alcohol consumption at all. And I would counter by saying that if you go to a hockey game or a football game, you can drink beer right there. It's being promoted all the time around all of the 18 to 20-year-olds in the country. And I think I think we'd be foolish to think that this course with these guardrails around it is any worse than anything else that's being done on campus or elsewhere in society. You watch a football game, you're bombarded with beer ads, right? Young people included.
Thank you, Senator. I still, in my feeling is that we have, as a state have said, you have to be 21. The University of New Hampshire, right in its name, represents the state. We're sending a different message that it's okay, wink, nod. We know you're going to drink anyways. So I don't see it as the message I want to send out to my under 21s. But I understand your point, so thank you.
I appreciate
Does
that.
anyone else wish to speak on the subject?
I just have one question. The portion on the first page about the Liquor Commission course.
Yes. Is this on the amendment, Senator?
Yes, I'm looking
Okay.
at the amendment and I'm looking at lines 17 through 18. Who pays for the course? Is that an added cost to the student or?
I think the Liquor Commission is providing that at no cost, which is what they normally do in their educational programs for new licensees. So what I was told in speaking with the commission was that they would send someone to the class who would do this at the beginning of each semester before any tasting occurs.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Senator Shanley?
Thank you. I missed the end of what you said there. Did you say any student taking the course or only those who are underage?
All students taking the course would go through that educational program from the commission, yes.
And you've talked about wine, but we know that certainly by looking at our last bill, craft beers are.
Yes.
And I don't believe the bill says anywhere wine. Would that include craft beers and bourbons and other things that have become quite popular with terms of tasting and pairing with food?
Right. Well, the university does have a brewing program. And if you refer down to lines 27 to 29 in the amendment, it's pretty clear that it has to do with beer and wine, not spirits. Spirits are not mentioned in the bill or the amendment. And that would be, quite frankly, spirits are a little more intense than beer or wine, and a sip and spit probably wouldn't work there.
Do you want a motion? I'm going to motion to ITL. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Eh,
All in favor of the ITL motion? Aye. Opposed? Anyone?
No. All right, I'll see you on the floor.
Okay, I'll take it out.
I don't get to take it out.
Nope.
I'll trade you one or the other.
I'm sure you will.
That's true.
All right, senators.
What's there? Okay, SB 196 is on deck. An act establishing a minimum amount of uninsured motorist coverage required for vehicles operating as part of a transportation network companies in New Hampshire. Do I have any discussion on the bill? I'll discuss a little. So to me, it was, if I was getting in someone's Uber or someone's limo service, I'm assuming that they have insurance. And I guess maybe they might not have to at the moment.
That's correct.
So I'd like them to be insured so my family and I and everyone else is in the States are better protected. That's the way I look at the bill. Does anyone else have any discussion on this bill? I have a not to pass motion from Senator Ennis. Do I have a second? You do for me, Senator. But we can talk about it anyway. Do you want to read it a little more? Do you need a minute?
Where is the, yeah, so in order to drive for one of the companies, you do have to carry insurance. And this would add to that established minimums in the purchase. For some reason.
I
we did.
have a question, Senator Ennis. So I see the amounts that are down here, the 50,000 for death, 100. Is this, obviously, it's an increased amount from what you've looked into, you wrote the bill, so, okay, thank you. Okay, do I have a not to pass motion? I do from Senator Ennis. I'll second it. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Boy, I wish we had 5 people here today. Senator Ennis will take it out, yeah, I'm sorry. Okay, last, wow, this is good. an act relative to the standard of care for insurance agents, which is SB 199. I can talk about it a little bit while you guys are reading on it. So I did bring the bill on behalf of one of my constituents, an insurance agency. They were confused, as are a lot of insured insurance agencies. There was a case, Strinhouse v. Hampton, and it discussed duties of care. So we talked about it. If you look at the committee report, I'll sum up what I had said last time. Every insurance agent, every lawyer like Senator Susie and I myself have duties of care, a degree, a standard of care that we have to meet. Oftentimes I've sent people to lawyers who are specialists in a field because it was beyond my knowledge in a certain area. So this particular case, the insurance agency sold insurance to a business, and the business then later had a problem, did not go, they were offered a higher degree of insurance that would have covered more things. They declined that. And then it gets to be, how much care do they owe? Do they owe reasonable standard of care? Is there a relationship ongoing that the client is expecting more of you? I brought forth that, like in Florida's, especially I owned a condo, and there's flood risks down there being close to the ocean. There's a lot more wind risk. What's covered in a hurricane? What's covered in a flood? Is the water coming from the saltwater side, or is it coming from the freshwater side behind you? And so you would expect an insurance agents down there to have better knowledge of their products and the special relationship just due to the area. So up here, there's probably we have an ocean also. So depending on the type of insurance you're selling, there may be more complications that someone doesn't understand, and they expect more knowledge of you than they would from like buying a regular car insurance and deciding what your limits are. So there's a question out there is when is a reasonable standard of care due, or when is there an affirmative duty to advise of higher risks? And just like anything else, you may explain everything perfectly. The insured may decide, geez, I can't afford that insurance. It's just beyond. And then later, though, they want to come back and say, geez, I didn't understand good enough. It's your fault. You didn't sell me the right insurance. So the insurance companies are stuck in a position that they want to be able to raise affirmative defenses in a courtroom. And that's really all this bill does not really deal with what degree of care is it reasonable, is it an affirmative duty for higher care. They just want to be able to raise affirmative defenses. And so to balance the limitations, otherwise their risk, they don't know. A court they would think they've done everything perfectly, explained everything perfectly, and they're not going to be able to raise affirmative defenses that they did meet a certain burden. So that's what they're looking to put forward to get clarity, because right now all the insurance companies are not sure, geez, what are the odds of my having to pay back on a certain claim? Am I going to lose because it hasn't been clear from the court cases what degree of care is due when? So they're asking to use regular affirmative defenses that others can use, if that was clear. Was that clear, Senator? Did I get you in the ballpark?
It was clear. So when we re-referred this last time, Senator,
Yep.
it was your request so that more work or input could be done with the stakeholders? And is it the association? Is it agents? Whom?
It's the association, and this is what they wanted brought forth. I don't believe much work was really accomplished in the fall.
Okay.
It was talked about a few times, but no. And stakeholders did not come down and meet and come up with, is this good, is this bad? So that's where we are. We're basically where we are in May.
Okay. Because no one had, you were the only person to testify, and nobody had signed up, so I
Yep.
just didn't know if anyone.
Is there anyone who holds an interest in the room? Seeing none. No, I see you, Lindsay. How you doing? If you can just state your name and who you work for and everything and all that good stuff.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Lindsay Nato here from Orrin Reno, appearing on behalf of the New Hampshire Association of Domestic Insurance Companies, which is the state trade for carriers, as well as the American Property Casualty Insurance Association, which is the national trade.
Did I make it as clear as mud?
So
You
So
can-
I think it was maybe over lawyered coming from a fellow lawyer. I think what I'd say is we understand the purpose of the bill, and I don't think there's concern there. And I think there's some agreement that that may be worth pursuing. We had concerns about the language and the ambiguity in the wording of the bill, and would be happy to work with stakeholders in another session year to clarify that. But I think the department also, and I don't want to speak out of term, but I think my recollection was that the department had concerns about the wording conflicting with existing law. And then on behalf of the carriers, we also had concerns with the wording. So I think we would have, respectfully, we'd have concerns with the bill moving forward in its current form.
Go ahead, Senator.
If I may, would there be time to try to craft an amendment, since roughly a month from now is when we would take up the bill?
We do have a meeting on Thursday, and I can bring that up.
Okay,
I'd be happy to do that and check back with you, Senator.
sounds good, sounds good. So are you suggesting, we're all set, thank you very much.
Mr. Berkey also, did you?
Did someone else want?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Bruce Berkey, representing the professional insurance agents of New Hampshire. And we favor Senate Bill 199 and thought that Senator Gannon's clear as mud explanation was perfect. Be happy to work with the domestic companies and Lindsay's other client on some language, but we would certainly prefer seeing the bill come out favorable today, and to ensure that there's a level of interest in working that language out.
Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you.
Thanks. So Senator, would you be amenable to
Can,
pass it today? And then,
I think
go
so.
ahead, I'm
Chandler.
sorry.
Question.
just, so my question was, would it be possible to vote interim study today? And then with the understanding that if there is if we can get an amendment, we can always move to change it on the floor.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
That's all.
Sounds good. So I will move interim study.
Okay.
Are you,
Yeah,
you think that's a reasonable path?
it's reasonable. Okay. All in favor of interim study?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
But we will definitely entertain an amendment on the floor.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I feel.
Can I redo that vote? And go 3-1?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Chair's prerogative.
So yeah, we're gonna go 3-1.
Okay.
Okay. Good job. Thank you for all your help. Good teamwork.
Do you want
What's
to,
Take that out.
oh, I'll take it out if
Okay,
that helps.
that's fine.
That's helpful.
up? Actually, can I take it out? Do you mind?
Well, you
You
can't if you
can't.
vote,
Okay, I'm in the minority, right? Okay.
you can if you vote for.
No.
This is great.
Okay,
Would you like a motion to adjourn?
I would.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
We'll definitely get an amendment.
Yeah. Oh, did we miss one?